a way that we can help ourselves to see more clearly into our own depths. And it comes through a meditative technique. And it's one of those things that we can do together. And I just thought it would be a good idea if we could do that. It's a meditation. So I'd like to invite you all to share with me in this. Some of you, I've actually walked you through this because I do it with some of my friends. But it won't take long, don't worry. Just don't go to sleep, please, whatever you do. But it's something I think that is useful to everybody. And I like it because it gives you like kind of what they call a hands-on. You know, you can do something, instead of just sitting there listening to me, you can do something along with it. So if you would, and if you don't choose to, that's okay too, don't worry. I'm not gonna, hey you, close your eyes, that's it. I'm not gonna embarrass you. I would never do that. I don't like to embarrass people. I hope I haven't embarrassed anybody. But I don't like to, because I don't like to be embarrassed myself. So what I'd like you to do is if you would just kind of start moving in your consciousness, in your mind, into a place where you're just at one with yourself. And I understand we're in a room with a lot of people, but if you can, and if you would, and I know you can, just move into your inner space. For most of you, it would be easier if you close your eyes, but again, if you don't want to cooperate, that's fine. Don't worry, I'm not going to make a scene. But if those of you who want to, please close your eyes and go within. And it's just a matter of just kind of getting with yourself, because even though there are other brothers and sisters in the room, they're doing the same thing. So this is not the time for interacting with others, but to interact with ourselves. This is a good thing. Good. Okay. Let's let the sirens go by. Can't meditate with a siren going on. That's why I moved from Kukui Plaza where it's so loud. Okay. And if you would, think about truth. The truth that you tell to yourself. Now there's a different truth that we tell sometimes to other people. This is the truth we tell to ourselves. So if you would, go there. Go get truthful, get real truthful if you would. And some of what I'm going to ask you to do, my dear friends, it might not be that easy, but I ask you to make the effort. I really think it would be of benefit. It has been to me, or I wouldn't even ask you to do it. The first thing I'd like you to do is this. Go into your own heart and find something there that you've been hiding from yourself. Something you have had a real difficult time admitting to yourself. Something that you could say, or somebody could say, you have been in denial of, whatever that is. And this isn't to make you feel badly. On the contrary, it's to help you get past it. But it's okay, the beginning of freedom begins with truth. So let's start there, if you would. Find something that you haven't really been real comfortable admitting to yourself that's happening. And it's okay. I mean, frankly, it's bound to be a little uncomfortable. That's not the point of it, but it's bound to be, because that's the only reason you're not admitting it. We sweep things like that, what they say, under the carpet. This is a time to look under the carpet, so you can get rid of it, so you can rid yourself of it. So if you would, find something like that, if you would. Something that you have been trying to ignore, trying to not admit to yourself, but you know what? It's there. It just is there. Every time you wake up in the morning, it's right there. It's like your hair, like yourself. It's right there. It doesn't go away. And the reason it doesn't go away is because, you know what? You're meant to do something with it. You are. You just didn't know that, and maybe you felt you couldn't, or you were incapable of it. But you were underestimating the power of your soul. And that is the thing I'd like you to please look into. So if it's okay, I know this is very personal, but hey, we got to be real. Please look for that thing you have been denying about yourself, whatever it may be. Nobody knows but you and God, that nobody's reading your mind. Just whatever. And try to look at it, and the goal, of course, is what? To try to come to some new understanding of it, that's all. There is a new understanding because you have grown since the last time you looked at it. From your current state of enlightenment, where you are today, this very night, this very hour, you are greater and more aware than you were an hour ago, much less yesterday, or much less the last time you probably took a look at this. Whatever it is, just look at it, that's all I ask, and see if you can't come up with a better understanding of whatever it is, and maybe there's something you can do. Usually there is. Maybe you just didn't think of it before. You might have to make some decision. Maybe there's a change you have to make. okay. Maybe it's nothing more than just accepting it. Maybe that's, hey, that's you, It's okay. Sometimes we can't change certain things, whatever. It's okay. Just accept it. There was a reason why you were born that way, or with it, or whatever, why it's come to you. But either way, we want to bring this a little closer so that we can not be using energy to suppress it, but instead use energy to understand it and maybe, again, make a decision that will help you come into a better relationship with this thing, whatever it may be. Doesn't matter. Whatever it is. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Believe me, it is not. We are all precious, precious souls, believe me. And everything in our life is there for a precious reason. I believe that with all my heart. So whatever it is, see if you can't come up with some new, anything, a new way of looking at it. Maybe just acceptance of it. Maybe there's a decision it's time you make, and you just hadn't thought about it. Maybe it's time for you to make that big step, whatever. Only you will know. Your guides are with you, and I have a feeling they're talking to you. So I'm going to be quiet for just a moment or two, let you all process that, and we're going to go into something else. But please stay in the meditative state if you would, and I'll resume in a moment. Okay, now stay in the meditative state if you would. We're going to go to another area that is often a great source of trouble to people, and it is this. It's called guilt. What is the thing you feel guilty about? What is that thing you have felt badly about? For a long time, probably. Whatever it may be, if you would, have the courage and look at it. In the interest of truth and freedom of your soul, look at it, whatever it may be. Because whatever it isn't that bad. It really isn't. It may seem that way. It may have at the time. But you know what? Whatever it was, I have a funny feeling you had no idea it was going to get that bad. You had no idea it was going to get whatever it got. And it's okay. It's okay. And I really know that our dear, dear, sweet friends in spirit want us to take that thing. It's like a little kid, that broke something that they're afraid their mom's going to get angry about, and they hide it. Well, mom's going to find out, It's a time to come clean and just let it go. It's okay. It's really okay, The beauty lies in the letting go of this thing and realizing that whatever it is, you know what? There's no reason that you need to hold it against yourself. There isn't. Because when we do, we punish ourselves and say, oh, I can't have this and I can't have that because I've been a bad girl or a bad boy. And that's just not true, We're on earth to make mistakes, trial and error. It's a big laboratory. They tell us if we don't break test tubes, we don't learn anything. So it's almost like the bigger the mistake, the more you learn. Whatever it is, it's okay. Doesn't take away even a little bit from your preciousness, from the sweetness of your soul. If anything, it adds to it. The fact that you feel bad about it at all says a lot for your heart, a lot for your soul. You are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful beings, every one of us. So whatever it is, if you can, let go of it to some degree. Just decide to quit holding that against yourself, Like be your own friend and say, yeah, it's okay. Like if a friend of yours told you the same story, oh, I did this and I felt bad about it. Oh, it's okay, I still love you. You'd hug them, kiss them, and just have a little cry about it and let it go. That's the way to be. So try to let it go, please. And as you do, you'll feel better. You can emotionally feel it. Yeah. And the last thing we're going to deal with, please stay in the meditative state. There's one final boogeyman we'd like to get rid of, and it's called fear. This is a big one. Find a fear, please. Find a fear. A fear. What's a fear? A fear is a negative possibility that you believe can happen to you, that you feel powerless to prevent, is one way of defining a fear. a negative possibility that you believe can or will happen to you sooner or later, and you feel there's little or nothing you can do to stop it, and that's why you fear it. That's a fear. This is the definition the guides have given. But you know what they say? That all we have to do is change the part of that definition that says that you believe can happen to you. Because guess what? That's optional. You don't have to believe that. In fact, we suggest you don't believe it. You don't have to. You really don't. Change your beliefs about it. Decide it will never happen to you. Why should it? Why accept that? Like buying damaged goods. I wouldn't do it if I were you. Fears can be terribly crippling. They can haunt us for years, for our whole life. But you can stop and go, hey, wait a minute. It's like this dog that always barks at you when you walk down the street. One day, you just might have to turn and face that dog. So you want to decide that this thing, this fear, whatever it is, it's not going to happen. And I caution you, don't doubt that you have the power to do it, because you are the only one that does have the power to do it. We all do. Your fear does not have to happen to you. At least it doesn't have to happen in the way that you think. You can change your belief system about it, and I heartily suggest that you do. You have nothing to lose, and everything to gain. Isn't that wonderful? Nothing to lose except the fear. Change it. You don't have to accept that. Why should you? It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you at all. Change it. Change it to something wonderful in that same situation. Maybe the opposite of whatever the fear might be, and you'll be much better off. Get rid of that fear, because it doesn't have to happen. If it hasn't happened yet, it doesn't have to. I promise you. It doesn't have to. You can change that. Just slam the door on it. It's like you don't have to have a neighbor coming over every day, keeps coming over every day you don't want to see. One day you say, you know what, I'm not ready for company. You close the door. That ends that. You have the power. We all do. We are so powerful, and we are but reminded of it, okay? And the last thing, and just the last thing, stay in the meditative state if you would. This is the last thing that we're going to ask you to do, and it's this. Now that you've gotten rid of a few little weeds in the subconscious mind garden, do this, please. Think about something that you believe is just too good to be true. Ooh, what could that be? Something you would just love, love, love with all your heart. But guess what? You're not going to let yourself have it because it's too good to be true. You don't deserve it, or something. That's nonsense. I ask that you let yourself have it. Oh, come on. Open up. Let it be. Let it be. Allow it. Allow it. Allow it unto yourself, because if you do, then God also says yes. And let it be, my dear, dear friends. Just let it be. Allow yourself to have something you would have thought you just never would, because you thought you just didn't deserve it, or it was just too unlikely. Who says? God is like a big yes in the universe. And we're the only ones that say no, really. Look around. Everything's allowed, isn't it? Even things that aren't too nice, they're still there. God says yes to everything. Everything can happen. It's just a matter of what we want. So allow yourself to have something really, really neat, something you love, something you would just love to have. And you know what? See it in your living room within a week or a year. If that's more realistic, that's okay. See it in your living room. Let it come into your world physically. Allow it. Please do. Because if you do, you're contributing to possibility thinking for the whole planetary body. We're all connected. We don't want to block things. We want to let them flow. So let it flow, my dear, dear friends. Let it flow. Let it be. And as you begin to think about your physical life from this point on, the guides, believe it or not, have pointed this out, that, you know, on this earth plane, like the game of Monopoly, it's built in that everybody needs money. That might sound a little shocking, a little jarring to some of you, I hope not. But you know what? You do. It's called being responsible for yourself, so someone else doesn't have to take care of you. So you know what? I'd like to suggest as an end capstone, think of yourself as a money magnet. Yes, a money magnet. Draw money to yourself, lots of it. You need way more than just to pay your rent and your bills. You really do. You know why? You need a lot of money, a lot. Way more than that. Way more than that. We don't want to go small-minded here. Think big, please. Why? Because as much as you can draw to yourself, that's how much good you can do. That's absolutely true. Think of all the good you could do if you suddenly had a huge amount of money. I know, I can tell by looking at you all, your auras are so sweet. I can tell that every one of you, there's not one exception, not one in this whole room. Every one of you here, if you had some lot of money, the first thing you do is go and do something wonderful for somebody else. I know you would. I can see it. Every one of you. You would. You'd do something. You'd buy someone a house. You'd do whatever you'd clear their medical bill. You'd do something. I know you would, because I can tell by looking at you. You are all givers, and you're all generous and wonderful people. And so, if you suddenly have a lot of money, you're going to do good with it. Well, you know what? Why don't you just give it to yourself so you can do just that? Be useful. Have a lot of money. Draw it unto yourself. Just a decision, really. Starts that way anyway. Open your consciousness, my dear friends, and see yourselves standing under Niagara Falls of money. Niagara Falls. You know anything about that? It's a huge volume of water. But what if it's all money? Just think. Just let it come. Why not? You see someone goes, oh, I don't know if I could do that. Oh, yes, you could. In fact, you need to, so you can help a lot of people. A lot of people. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. The guides have suggested this. This is not my idea. I can't claim it, but they have. So if you can accept that, you'll find that within 5 years, if you are consistent, you will have drawn this good into your life and can do a lot of good with it. I have no doubt whatsoever that that's all you're going to do. Oh, I was about to end the meditation, but I have one last thing. It's a request from Spirit directly, and I'm going to give it right now, and it's this. And it's very, very useful, of course. I would like every one of you, before you come out of meditation, if you would, pick a situation in your life. In fact, I would suggest the one that is causing you the most trouble. Whatever it would be. Something that is the most, the most worry, that gives you the most stress, whatever. Pick something, whatever. And if you can see what the solution would be, visualize that happening. If you don't know what it would be, then just simply feel that the divine hand will come down and provide it. Heal your problem, whatever it is. We all have one, at least one. Pick the worst one, the biggest one. The thing gives you the most pain, the most stress, the most anything. The thing that puts the most pressure on you, and see it healed. And again, if you can't see how you think it needs to be healed, then you don't have to. Just know that it will be. Accept it, because that again opens the door. And like I said, our guides and our teachers are all here, and they're working with us, and they can see what you're seeing, and they can provide solutions that you may not think about. So let's just do that if we would. And that's their suggestion. See whatever it is. There is no problem, none, that does not have 5 solutions to it. To understand all is to forgive all. There's no human problem that our higher friends in spirit do not understand. They've been through them all. And they have solutions for all of them. But we have to be open to that, because by the free will law, they're not going to impose it, even a solution. They won't even impose help. Got to ask for it. Got to be open to it. So let's do that, and that'll be a wonderful thing. This is not too good to be true. This is not fantasy. This is not playing mental games. This is using what the good Lord has given each one of us, our consciousness, our hearts, our minds, and our souls, to open ourselves to solutions that we have not been able to think of, to cause our lives to become more beautifully aligned and perfect reflections of the divine world. I think that's our destiny, and I think it's the will of God. So let's have all that wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stuff come into our world. It's on its way now. It's just like if you just pick up the phone and order something. Unless you cancel the order, it's on its way. It's accepted emotionally, please. Accept it mentally, emotionally, in every way. And know that it is yours for the asking. And then when you're ready, just gently accept that and bring yourself back to the point of noticing the fact that you're sitting in a physical chair, that you're in a physical room with other physical people, and that we just shared a nice creative experience. Everything begins with thought, no exceptions. Everything. The room that we're in right now, this is a thought in somebody's mind, an architect's mind. The lecture that I'm giving was a thought in someone's mind, not mine, believe me. The clothes you're wearing were thoughts in some clothing designer's mind. The car you're driving was a thought in somebody's mind. The food you ate last was a thought in your mind. What you're going to do tomorrow all started as a thought. What's going to happen with the rest of your life? Thought. Thought, thought, thought. That's all it is. It all starts with thoughts. You see what I'm saying? There's no exceptions. Everything. No exceptions. Everything starts with thought. Everything. Conception, and then it goes from there, right? We underestimate that, I think. The building blocks of creation, and we forget it sometimes. So it's important to sometimes have a little reminder, that in something like what we just did, that's what we did. We went back down to the basics. We used the building blocks of creation, which are thought, right? Pictures, images, and openness and acceptance, and that's what we just did, and changed a few things. Yes, believe it or not, we all were just functioning. We were functioning or operating not on the physical dimension, because you just were sitting here with your eyes closed. You weren't doing anything. We weren't even operating totally on the emotional, though somewhat. We were operating on a higher level, which was one of creative thought called the causal level. It's called causal. It's the higher mental plane, and it's where things are caused. Just right. It's important, What we think, we cause, really. It goes by so quickly, we don't realize, yeah, I caused that, but you did, True. So we all just caused, you all just caused the things. You're all causal beings. Yeah, true. It just really happens. So we're kind of winding down now. I feel like, I've just offered a bit of a smorgasbord. I just put things out, and I hope you like it, all the different types of things you can work with. But the real idea, again, was to remind us that it is by the use of our intuitive, spiritual, psychic abilities that we can improve the quality of anything that we're involved with. Our personal relationships, definitely. Our business world, our careers, a business meeting, The subconscious mind is so powerful, so very powerful. If I were going to go to a business meeting, let's say 10 o'clock next Tuesday morning, let's just say I had one going, and I was going to go. And it was an important one, big wig's going to be there, whatever, You know what I would do? I would reserve that time and that space. I probably would know where I was going to go, probably, such and such a place. I would say Tuesday morning next, 10 a.m., such and such a building, such and such an office. I would focus in on that time and space. It's called a coordinate. I would go there and I would say, this block of time and space will only produce the most wonderful results. Nothing else can happen. There can be no disappointments. There can be no failures. There can be no interference. There can be no foolishness. There can be no stupidity. There can be no spiritual blindness. All that can happen is incredible success, the presence of heavy guides, teachers, and masters, and the most wonderful thing that anybody there could possibly imagine, and more. That's all that can happen. That's my name to it. It's called reserving time and space. You can do it. You do it whenever you plan a party, believe it or not, or anything you plan. Think about it, anything. A date you're going to go on. You're going to plan, you're going to think, it's going to be real good. You're doing the same thing. Yeah, see? Versus, I hope it's okay. I hope. Hope all day long. Good luck. I wouldn't leave it to that, are you? Let's be a little more positive about it. You can set it up that way. Where you're saying, no, nothing else can happen. Catch that? You're limiting. It's called the law of limitation. Nothing else can happen. There can be no bloopers here. There can be no fool who's going to mess it up. No. It will not happen. It cannot happen. Because I bet you anything, nobody else has the presence of mind to do that. So you are, in a sense, setting up the paradigm. You see the parameters for the situation. Exactly. It's working with what we have. It's the resources we have, the spiritual and psychic resources. And the very last thing I'm going to end on, 'cause I think it's a good note, is this. I mentioned Hinduism as the religion of India. It's such a lovely one because it covers so many things, not to say everything. But it teaches that when things are not going well, let's face it, we all have problems. We all go down days. It happens to everybody. Nothing to be ashamed of. There's things you can do. When things are in the red, there's things you can do to get them into the black. It's called generating good karma. Yeah. Take somebody to dinner, for God's sake. Find somebody who's worse off than you and do something to help them. Give them a call. Send them some flowers. Do something. Send them a good thought. If you don't have any money, I don't have any money for that. You got a mind, you can do that. See, it's called the generating of positive energy. It's what you do when you need help. You see, you don't just wait and hope and hope and hope. You do things. You take action, and you can do that. So you can send that. The greatest masters that I know of in connection with this planet, you know what they do all day long? They just sit and radiate love and power and beautiful things, and they send it to this world. And we are the beneficiaries of that. We can do the same thing. Anybody can do that. It doesn't cost anything, right? You can do it anywhere. You can do it when you stand at the bank line. You can do it when you're just sitting home, anything, anywhere. But it just goes to show that we're never helpless. We're never useless. We're never, well, there's nothing I can do. That's nonsense. That's blasphemy. You don't know yourself real well. Because you are divine, and the divine is unlimited. You can do everything. You can change the universe. We're doing it right this minute. We are. We're changing the universe right this moment. All of us here, collectively. Why? Because we're thinking these lines, and I think I've seen, pretty much as I looked about, some really interesting intentions that have popped up. There's little bubbles, called little cartoons, a little thing, a little cloud. I've seen a few of those. I'm going to change that. I want to change that. Good for you. You should change that. Yeah, change it all. Make it better. Why not? So we have these options, my dear friends. This is, what I'd like to share with you all. Psychic and intuitive abilities are simply the awareness of the soul and how unlimited it is to make things better. That's all it is. It's real simple, real basic. So, you all can send joy, you all can send love, you all can send anything you want and make things better for other people, and it works. It really, really does. I'm grateful to all the great beings who have helped us and contributed to all the things that we have. I'm grateful to that being that some call in India the Divine Mother, the feminine side of God. I'm grateful to all the Lady Masters of Heaven. I'm grateful to all the goddesses, and there's so many. I'm grateful to all the women that have stuck their neck out to brave disapproval so that they could say something or do something that made a difference. And obviously to all the men, but they've a lot of times gotten their honor already. So this is where we're at with this, okay? So I want to simply leave you with that thought, that every one of us here has a real incredible potential to make differences. And you can do it, in the marketplace, you can do it at home, you can do it everywhere. It's not just something one does in rare situations, it's done constantly. It's the way we think and the way we are. So I trust you will all take some of what was given here tonight and really give it some thought and just allow it to grow within you, if you would. I would like that a lot. And whatever you do, never forget the very most important point, I think, of all, which is that you always can make a difference no matter what, that there's always something you can do. Always. It's one of the cosmic laws. It's called the law of recourse. And it's a condition of life. It's real. And it says that no matter what the situation, there is always something you can do to make it better. Always. We're never helpless. We never are, painted into a corner. There's always something we can do. On the way driving home, you can make things better just by thinking about them. And so I leave you to your friends, the ones you came here with and the ones that will go.